Everybody, Scout Crafter here again, Mishmash Monday. We have a patriotic day planned today. I don't know if you can see that. We're flying two flags today. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get downstairs and get started right away. We're back down the shop, and like I was telling you, we have a lot to do today, a lot to talk about. Want to start off first. You saw the flags out. I've been having a blast with that new flag polling, and I'm trying all different types of flags. One thing. It's funny how I like heavy duty stuff, as you know, and when you first buy your flags, you tend to get these real heavy duty cotton and nylon and triple stitched and double weight and everything. But what I found out real quickly was that if you buy a real heavy flag, it just kind of hangs there if there's a light breeze or no breeze at all. So it's always nice to have the flag flowing. So that's when you these lightweight flags that you might seem, they seem cheap or whatever, they present much better. So keep that in mind when you go in to buy your flag. You should have multiples like I do. I have, storm flags for when it's bad weather. I have flags for when there's no wind. They'll still fly because they're so lightweight. And then I have heavier duty flags for when you get windy days that you don't want them falling apart. But, you get what you pay for. It's always nice to get one made in the USA if you can afford. And they're not expensive like you would think. But it's, fly whatever you can. And it's I put out that challenge for the 4th of July. And already my good friend Ian, the essential handyman from the UK, was the first to respond. He put it on his Instagram account, and look at him looking all proud there with that beautiful colors flying in the background. And come on, let's see if we can outdo Ian. He's the first, so let's see what we can do over here, because it's all about being patriotic for your country, wherever that might be. And I'm very proud of Ian. Thank you very much for sending that in. And next up, like I said, we got a lot to talk about today. Somebody had wrote me, because I had to cut out like 10 minutes from my last video, and they're like, what do you cut out? I'd love to see what you cut out. And some of the stuff I have to cut out I like, but you do it just because you have to. For example, I'll give you an example. Remember last week I was showing you that we put Bruce's nuts and bolts, the brass nuts and bolts, in the pickle jar. And I started talking about, I went into a whole pickle rant. Well, you know what? I saved it. I'm going to show you what went on the cutting room floor last week. This is my pickle rant. I'm watching The Rifleman, and they had a scene there where the bad guy goes into the kitchen, kitchen. He's a bad guy, and he grabs the owner, the proprietor of the kitchen. He says, look, I want something to eat now. And she's like, well, we don't have anything. It's after hours. He says, you better make me something to eat. So she goes, well, I got some eggs. I can make you some eggs, and there's some pickles, And he said, all right, that sounds good. And when she said that, all of a sudden I had an urge for pickles, and I'm not a big pickle eater, but I just had this urge for pickles. And that, so the next day I went out, I must have bought like 6 jars of pickles, all different types, because I don't know what I really feel. I was on a pickle kick. I'm still on a pickle kick. I don't know what it is. Do you ever get like that? You ever get like on a food kick and just eat it until you get sick of it? But I don't know what it is about. I like the sweet gherkins and the dills. But it's a quick story. It's funny because years ago, they used to sell pickles. I come from a kind of an old-fashioned town, and they used to sell pickles up at the butcher shop, big whole pickles, Now it's like most pickles are sliced, quartered, they come in jars, things like that. But they had a big barrel there up at the butcher shop. And you would go in there, and for like a quarter, you would get a big, huge pickle, And it's funny because my grandmother told me a story when I was a kid, and I'll never forget that. She says, we used to go, it was the same butcher shop more or less, and then when they used to go up the street to the movies, there was a movie theater here. My grandmother said she used to go in, and they would always get a pickle before they went into the movies. How times have changed, right? From pickles to popcorn and what they have now. But she said they would go into the butcher shop, and there was that big barrel of pickles there waiting next to the counter. And she said that because she was so tall, she had long arms. They used to go, Lil, get us some good ones. Her name was Lillian. And she used to roll her sleeve up. I'll tell you, this is a true story. I'm not making it. She would roll her sleeve up and reach down deep into the big barrel of pickles to get one of the big ones at the bottom, you know, for her and her friends. You know, they would each get one. But I said, can you imagine? All I could think of as a kid when my grandmother told that story is I think, first of all, I would think, man, my grandmother's arm must have smelled like pickles the whole day, you know what I mean? And she said that, you know, they would go in the movies and start eating the pickles, and people would say, we smell pickles, it smells good. I said, wow, what a change, huh? But that's a true story. But anybody out there have a favorite pickle, or have you ever? It's nuts, right? I don't know. All right, let's get back. So you could see, you know, some things wind up on the cutting room, and some good stuff I would like to put it in. I just don't want to. There's so many good videos out there by all these other YouTube creators, and I want you to get to see them. You know, I don't want to kind of hog up your time with me just going along and ranting along. But so let's get started. First of all, you know what? This month was Lantern Month, and I still didn't get to half the lanterns I have, but I got to start, you know, nipping it in the bud, getting it over with. And let me show you a couple cool military lanterns I think you might find interesting. Now, our next video will be the last video of the month, and we'll go through the culmination. I'll be able to get rid of all the stuff that you see behind, you know. But I want to show you these cool videos, these cool lanterns. These are what they call Navy battle lanterns, and they really stand up to their name. These things are about the heaviest duty lanterns you will ever see. They were made almost bulletproof. These things are starting to really go up in price, and I don't know why they're becoming so expensive, because it's just like a metal box with a light, but they are. People, I guess, like them because they just look super cool, don't they? And I like the fact that they have the replaceable bulb. These here, again, they ran off the crazy voltages, but what's interesting about the old ones, and these, again, were World War II, things like that. You would see these on the ship, and there was a little bracket here that you would place it like this and turn it, and it would hold it on to the wall. And it was also plugged in. You see that little bayonet mount? Yes, right. So I bought bayonet, empty bayonet sockets, more or less, that will power this, and so you could run it. And that's what they would do. They would, you know, keep them powered and charged. And if anything happened on ship, they would come on automatically. But here, this is the modern version. I don't know if you ever seen one of these before. These are really These are still made today to military spec, and what they are, that this is actually like a Bakelite, and it's a really super heavy duty. I mean, you know, just look how cool this is. A lot of these come painted in different colors, but yellow is the usual, but the actual Bakelite is like that brown phenolic looking color. It usually has the booted switch. This one here has you can see here, it has the bulb and the battery. It takes 2 batteries, or it takes a configuration of different batteries. You know, it can take a rechargeable battery. It can take all types of, you know, charging systems. It can also be hooked up to 110, and it gives you inside. It has schematics and things like that, how to hook it up. But the way this one is set up, it's set up for 2 of those 6-volt lantern batteries. And isn't that just a sweet light? And you know, I always like these. I always just think they make a nice presentation piece. Okay, we got to get a restoration in here. We haven't done for a while. And, you know, a good friend of the show, Cindy Berg, you know how you've seen her in the comments and whatnot. She sent in a bunch of cool stuff. I think it was a month ago or maybe more. Time flies. And she sent in these beautiful Kraeuter model. I think they're 2801, if I'm not 2801, and 6-inch. And you can see it says nickel dreadnought steel. And I always thought that was so cool, especially with this. So let's see if we can't get these back to, I mean, they are. It's a nice, look at the beautiful handle. Kraeuter really did it nice, didn't they? They knew what they were doing. So let's see if we can't bring these back to the original glory. We really have to keep all this, because that's, you know, like I said, that dreadnought steel is nice. So we can't take any of that off, but we got to get rid of all that pitting and everything. And you know, the jaws look good, so the cutters look good. Let's see what we can do with it to have some fun. Okay, here we are post wire brush evaluation. You see that pitting, and really when you do the wire brush, man, you really see, remember that, that didn't show up before as much, right? Because, it had that coating of rust that kind of holds it, but you could see the pitting. You could see especially around the edges here of the handle. You see what I mean? Like, that kills me, I mean, and that's always because you get that hand sweat and hand oil and the salt from your hands when, you get a lot of that around the handles. But this looks real good, right? That came out nice, but you could see that we're dealing with, the pitting and everything. So we're going to do the best we can. I can't deal with pits, but I love these. These are such a nice, great size. Let's get to it. Now, my favorite part. Remember what these pliers look like before we started. And we're calling this project done. And, these are such a nice pair, and you don't usually see them here. And you could see we kept as much of the lettering we can. There's still a hair of pitting over here, but you can see here, the angles that we were able to keep here. And you know how difficult that is to get every one of those angles sharp without rounding them over, which but not sharp that they cut you or anything. So that came out real nice. The handles came out real nice. Now you remember we had the pitting in the transition area. We took all the pitting out of there. You could see here we kept all that crisp and shined it up a little to make it look good. This I always like the back here. You see little tabs in the back here. That really makes a difference. And just lovely, isn't it? Look how we got that finish here. It's not a mirror finish, but it's very close to that nickel that they would have had back then without going. The tips, the jaws look real good, and it works very nicely. Let me show you how this works. What I like to do to test my cutters is I get these. Sometimes I get things with zip ties, and they got that long tail that you got to cut off. I save those zip ties because now this is a pretty heavy duty one. This came on some piece of equipment I had, and this is a good thing to test your cutters on because first of all, it won't go through it if it's not sharp, and secondly, you can see how it goes through that like butter. But obviously, it won't cut it won't damage the cutters either because it's a kind of a plastic. So this is really good to test your cutters with. I've been saving that, but here we go. These nice, beautiful. Thank you, Cindy, for these. These are just beautiful, and they have such a nice feel in the hand. So we got these Krauters in the can for today's project. Closing, we had a nice little mosh today. Special thanks to Cindy Berg for the beautiful pliers that we restored. Special thanks to Ian for being the first one to accept the challenge and getting that flag flying. And I hope the rest of you do too. I'm going to have something special planned for the 4th of July. Unfortunately, the 4th of July happens on a Sunday, so you'll see it the day after on Monday's video. So let's get some of those flags flying wherever you are. It's always a great day, and enjoy it. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care now. Bye-bye.